Masters got the Niners Falcons this week. I was saying this. It's one thing to be beat up. You know this. You're losing. You get cluster injuries. And like the Rams, for instance, on their offensive line, they do not look like the same team. The Niners are missing 9 starters, and they're still rolling over people. And I said this yesterday, is I think they're the best roster in the league. I cannot believe they're missing, and off, by the way, Jimmy Ward, Trent Williams, Elijah Mitchell, like stars. What's the film say when you look at the Niners?
they go out and try to physically thunder punch you in the face. I mean, they are so physical at the point of attack. And you mentioned it. They've been without their 2 starting defensive linemen, inside interior guys, and Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw. And they haven't missed a beat. They just physically wear you out on both sides of the ball. And that's really what they do. I would argue with you. I think maybe Philadelphia has the most talented roster. But just when you're talking about depth and ability to plug and play another guy and not change the system, not have to alter what you want to do. I mean, everybody, you either play that style of football, you either come out there and just absolutely roll dudes, or you don't get to play for Kyle Shanahan. So they've got this unbelievably deep roster with unreal physical kind of just physical dominance, and then they execute well. So, I mean, it is a combination. They are fun to watch on film, and there is no question they're a much better team with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm than they were with Trey Lance at the helm.
So I picked the Vikings to, come close to doubling their win total. They lost so many close games. I said, give them an offensive coach. Kirk Cousins feels supported. They're going to be a 12-13 win team. I also can acknowledge they have a lower ceiling. I like Kirk, but you got to play in prime time a lot if you want to be a great team, and he's not great there. He shrinks a bit. So you called the Vikings Bears, again, it's a classic example. J-Mac is saying to me, you literally the Bears gave you fits. And I keep arguing they keep winning all these games this year. There's value in it. Tell me, what is your belief this morning on what the Vikings are and what they can be?
Well, right now they're inconsistent. And you're right. I mean, they come out and score 21 straight points, and then all of a sudden, they're in a dogfight and give up the lead late at the end to a Chicago Bears team that's really not very good. They don't protect their quarterback. It's hard to analyze or hard to project what a quarterback's going to be in Justin Fields when he's not protected. Your top receiver probably should be a number 2. That there's issues there. So that notwithstanding, I think the Vikings have the potential to be exceptional. But they have to be able to put the pedal on the gas at all times. When you get a team down like they had the Bears down, I think it was 21-3, you need to step on them. And they weren't able to do that. Now, at the end of the game, they put together a 17-point or 17-play drive, went in, scored a touchdown. But I'll tell you this, when they start to get on the same page, critical situations. So let me explain what I'm talking about. When Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins are thinking the exact same way, Kevin O'Connell is an incredibly smart. He is an incredibly smart offensive mind. And so when they start to get critical situations where Kirk Cousins understands and knows the play that's coming in before the coach calls it, that's when you really sync up as an offense. And they're not there yet. They are still apart right now in those critical third down situations, second down and long situations, red zone situations. And so when they start to get on the same page and start to have the same feel for the game, and Kirk can stand in the huddle and go, oh, I know what's coming in now. I know what we're going to run. Like I'll tell you from experience playing for Mike Shanahan, I knew when we got into certain situations, I knew beyond the shadow of a doubt, 1 of 3 plays is going to get called here. And as a player, that's so comforting because you're just like, all right, set my jaw. Here's what's coming. He's going to put it on our shoulders. We're on a 19 handoff, 19 handoff. We're running 18 handoff force. We're going to run quarterback sneak. I know what's coming right now. And you set your jaw and you get ready for that. Offensively right now, they're not in sync as quarterback play caller. But I do believe that's going to happen. And when it does, I think they have the potential to be very special.
Okay, so my staff, this is so unfortunate, very cynical. When Russell Wilson came out and the story came out that he got a shot for his lat, and I know where a lat's at, I just don't have one. So the point being is the team here is like, oh, it's PR. It's, they're just trying to cover their butt. And my takeaway is this. He was one of the great accurate deep ball throwers in the NFL for 5 years. Now he's awful. He has no touch on a deep ball, misses badly, underthrows. He didn't get that bad in 6 months. Something has happened. So I looked at that story and thought, that's why he's lost his accuracy on the deep ball. I mean, Mark, you watched these games for years. That was his juice. That was his play. Now he's terrible at it. Right. But there are a lot of cynics out there that say, this is just a guy trying to make an excuse and save face. Where do you land as a popular Denver host on radio? You hear from the fans every day. Do you think that shot that leaked out is real, contrived? Where do you land with it?
No, I think it's real. I know it wasn't something that was just spur of the moment. It was planned right after the Raider game for after the game that they played last week or last Thursday night in Denver against Indianapolis. So this was planned a week and a half, 10 days in advance. So that was something that has been bothering him. That said, Colin, and you're right about the deep ball, but that said, Russell Wilson maybe played the worst game he's ever played in his career Thursday night against Indianapolis. He was awful. It had nothing to do with shoulder pain. In my imagination, I look at that and I say, you missed 4 or 5 golden opportunities. Yes. You missed 3 throws that should have been 21 points. Things you don't miss, and you're missing reads. You're late with reads. You're just not very good right now. So that to me is more, I am not in sync and I am not totally sold or totally, in tune with my head coach and with this offense in general. And I have said this forever, and I think it's true about Russell. I do believe that Russell wants to be that prototypical drop back passer and thinks that, hey man, if I'm going to play into the 40s, like I've said I was going to play into, I need to change the style of my game a little bit. And so I think that's part of what they're doing in Denver right now. And frankly, he's not playing at a high enough level. You need to go back to some of the stuff you did in Seattle. You need to get back under center. You need to create play action stuff, eliminate half the field, use your boot keep game, use your throwback game. Like those are things they did very effectively in Seattle when he was at his best. They're not doing a lot of that stuff right now, and I think it's a mistake. So I think now this takes humility from Russ. I don't know if he has it. Like I elected or I announced myself this morning on my radio show, Colin, as the director of authenticity.
Okay.
And what Russ needs is me to, when he's about ready to send out a tweet about these new hats he's going to release after playing the worst game of his career, I would say, Russ, that's stupid. No, you're not going to do that.
Right.
Wait until you start playing well. Like he needs somebody to manage him and to let him know this is really dumb and you have to start playing better. No, that tweet is not authentic. Stop it. You know what? Have a press conference where you look humble and then walk away and go, okay, Denver, let's ride. No, stop. Nuh-uh. We're not going to play that game anymore. And you've got to get back to what you were good at, right? You can expand as you become comfortable in the offense, but don't just try to, expand right off the bat. You have to squeeze this thing down. You have to become more myopic in your focus of what you can do, who you are, and lean on that stuff. And then slowly expand into what you want to become. But you've gone the opposite way, and you've played probably 4 or 5 games of the worst football you have in your entire career.
Yeah. All right, Mark. He's got the Niners at the Falcons, 1:00 window, Sunday Eastern. Good seeing you, bud.
You too, man. Talk to you.
Yeah. Now, again, I think Monday night, Russell gets an extra day for that extreme pain he's playing through, and I think they're competitive. But if it's another dog performance, what can I say? You are out in him already. I am giving him...
I'm definitely not out on him. I'm out on Hackett.
Yeah, we agree on that.
Yes.
All right. J-Mac with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
All right, Colin, first up, the situation in Miami with Tua. It is not looking good. He did return to practice today and will do some throwing as he progresses through the concussion protocol, but he's been ruled out for this weekend. Teddy Bridgewater also in concussion protocol.
So Mike
McDaniel has named Skylar Thompson the starter.
Now, is Bridgewater
There's a chance he could come out of protocol and be the backup.
Okay,
he will not start.
I mean,
'Cause
you
he's
can't
gonna
go into a game with.
He's going to be
they
very
get
limited in practice.
Who are they going to get off the wire? You're going to go into a game with one quarterback?
Well, I think they're confident Bridgewater will come out and be the backup. But again, he's not going through the practice and getting the reps, really.
Right.
Now, the line has moved from Vikings 3 to Vikings 3.5. Is that too rich for your blood? Kirk Cousins laying over a field goal on the road.
I would stay away from it. But I do think Minnesota wins. And I like Minnesota more than anybody in America that doesn't live in Minneapolis.
So with the Jets beating the Packers and the Dolphins losing. No, okay, I'm just kidding. All right. Next up, Baker Mayfield. Boy, the news is not good for your guy Baker Mayfield. Out 2 to 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain suffered in that loss to the Niners. According to reports, Baker wants to play on the injury as soon as possible, but it's an uphill battle. P.J. Walker will get the start against the Rams this weekend.
Do you think that's a good job now that Matt Rule's been fired? I don't.
Well, where are you picking in the draft? If you're picking number 1, I don't think it's a bad job. Because they got some talent there. Now, there is some scuttlebutt. No, not from like Rappaport or any of the other networks, about Christian McCaffrey being on the trade block.
I'd move him in a second. I'm not moving Derek Brown from Auburn, the D lineman. I'm not
Brian Burns,
no
they got a good cornerback.
No. You've got to be able to sell this job to the next coach. And if you can tell the next coach, our front 7, we got 2 Pro Bowlers. McCaffrey, haven't we learned this with running backs? You sell a year early. Like, I like Christian McCaffrey. I would sell him in 1 second. I would, and by the way, if I would, let's say I'm a team.
Let's go to the Buffalo Bills, who have massive running back situations.
Absolutely, I would take Christian McCaffrey in Buffalo. And by the way, what doesn't work for you works for me. What Carolina needs is draft picks. What Buffalo needs is a 7 to 8 spurt playmaker in the backfield.
Can you imagine what Josh Allen could do with McCaffrey? And I'll float another
He's a great
team,
receiver.
Another team that's struggling with playmakers, the LA Rams, who don't like the draft. And can you imagine Christian McCaffrey as a weapon with Cooper Kupp as well on that team? I'm just talking about playoff teams that need weapons.
I think it's. But I'm not going to sell. I'm not going to sell all my pieces. I think what you have to do is get your quarterback right. But I think McCaffrey is the classic trade deadline dump. And if I'm the Rams, I'm absolutely interested.
Yeah,
he's a West Coast. I mean, he went to Stanford, West Coast kid.
He's a Swiss Army knife guy that can do a ton for you. All right, Colin. Finally. Last night we had that incredible ending in the ALDS between the Astros and Mariners. Not good for your Seattle guys. Yordan Alvarez hit a 3-run blast. Just a walk-off. Like, the scene was pretty cool in Houston.
Crazy.
Just bedlam and chaos. Here is the call from the Astros radio network.
The 0-1. And Alvarez belts it deep to right field. Houston goodbye. Unbelievable. The Astros a walk-off win. Yordan Alvarez a walk-off 3-run homer. And the Astros stun the Mariners in Game 1 of the division series.
That's crazy.
That's pretty. Have you ever hit a walk-off home run?
I've never hit a home run.
How about a game-winning touchdown pass?
I wasn't very good at quarterback.
You were the quarterback of the team.
I had a game-winning jumper or two.
That felt good, didn't it? I hit one in a league in New York. They carried me off the court.
He mentioned it. He remembers. Thank you. Right. Well, somebody has my back on this show. I had one great moment in high school basketball, and it was against. I'm not going to get into it.
Was it against a future NBA player?
No, I'm not going to get into it. You know, this isn't about me. This show.
It's not at all
America.
about college.
There's no reason, but it was a great moment. I would like to wish we had an iPhone back then and recorded it. Be all over the internet. Yeah. J Mac, are you done?
I think that's it. I mean, we can keep going. I got other stories. I got other stuff. We can talk Jets. We haven't done a lot of Jets.
I lost myself.